Broads Media.
So much happening in the Eagles world, no doubt about it. Before we break it all down, if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all the support. And I'm curious, who is your player of the game? You have Jalen Hurts, you got that offensive line as a whole. Maybe we could package that up. Maybe you choose one specifically. Maybe Jason Kelce. I don't know. That guy was ridiculous. You got Miles Sanders. I mean, the list goes on and on. Who was your player of the game against Washington? Comment down below. Real quickly, if you're looking to buy any tickets to any NFL, NHL, even though they're on hold, they will be back after the holidays, NBA games, you can utilize the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off. So all those fees, and you're like, how the hell is it this much money? Just forget about those fees. Utilize promo code BROADS, SeatGeek's checkout page. It's a no-brainer. Get yourself to a game today. TikTok, Broads Media. Toss a follow there. Thank you all so much, and enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. There's been so much noise and news since the game against Washington, whether it's Nick Sirianni going on the COVID list, Miles Sanders saying that fans aren't allowed to boo, which is just an egregious statement, and I have no idea how you have the balls to throw that out there when it clearly worked, right? You got so frustrated. You felt the need. There was so much boiling inside of you that you felt obligated to make a statement about. Therefore, it reached home. And it did its job. See, the problem I have, and I know I'm coming right out of the chute here, right out of the gates, guns blazing on this, which I did not intend to do, but it bothers me that people misinterpret what the boo is all about. You are down 10-0 to a Washington football team after some really odd and strange situations. Really one, right? The fumble wasn't odd or strange. That was problematic because Jalen Hurts made a piss-poor decision. That's why Nick Sirianni chewed him out on the sidelines. And I watched that clip probably 10, 15, 20 times in a row. And there was something inside of me that missed getting reamed out and destroyed by a head coach when I made some sort of problem on the ice during my college days or when I was playing junior hockey. I would make a bad pass in the D zone or in the neutral zone. I'd turn the puck over. I'd get back to the bench. Yo, bro, what the fuck are you doing out there? And then that body rage that I had inside of me to make sure that the next time I was out there, it would be significantly different and I'd take the puck up on a rush and get a good scoring chance offensively or something like that. I miss that drive. I don't have that here. Hey, bro, your episode sucked. Yeah, fuck off. And then I do it again the next show because, no, it did suck. Of course it did suck. It's always great. You know what I'm saying? I miss that from an athlete level. But anyway, getting back to Miles Sanders here, the misinterpret of the boo. Now, Jalen Rager, oh, you can't be booing Rager. He had 50-plus yards, and he had that play during the fumble recovery where he got back and actually made a play on the football. Yeah, Jalen Rager had a strong game, but if he plays like that, he won't be getting booed. It's just that simple. If you do that in multiple games in a row, that boo will then disintegrate, and the boo just says, be better. So my thought is, if we took away the boo, which I am not in favor of, I'm just utilizing this as context, Miles Sanders. If you take away the boo and the fans, not cheer, but if the fans start yelling, be better. Instead of boo, it's be better. 60,000 people saying be better. Does that change how you feel about this? Because at the end of the day, all the boo is we want better from you. And what do you know? As soon as all that came raining down, you look at the stats afterwards, you look at the dominance, you look at the way that you guys ran the football hard. You don't think it motivated you at all? And what, do you want us to have zero feelings? So if that's the case, we're not allowed to say anything. And then when things are good, you can't have it both ways, right? It can't be, you can cheer for us, but you're not allowed to boo us. See, that's not what it is. We're not just a one-way street here where we just have to accept everything. No, there are plenty of things that are unacceptable, and we will hold you accountable, whether it's just about Jalen Rager or whether it's about the entire team as a whole. It's just like a head coach. If the head coach doesn't like something that he's seeing, he's going to make sure you know, and he will fix it. That's what we're doing as fans. Fix it. This is not okay. That's all. That's all. And by the way, yelling at the fans, let me know the positives about that, the pros and the cons here. Let's weigh it out. What do you get by sending that tweet out at whatever time it was? I mean, it's just crazy to me. I never understand it. Danny Green did the same thing. Ben Simmons tries to do the same thing, but he doesn't shoot a basketball and he plays in the NBA, which is just a vomit-worthy statement. I don't understand. I don't get it. But that's more of the probably the least important conversation of them all. But it definitely was something that sparked a hot debate over the last couple of hours, I guess, or over the last day or so. And it's a whole different society now. Back in the day, you get booed, you kind of just keep going and keep playing and whatnot. And now, with the way society is and the way that these athletes are and all, and with the access of Twitter and social media, which I guess the problem is fans... There's a 5% of the fans that go overboard, and then there's 95% that stay in their range of acceptable. So that 5% will then, trigger some things, and then the conversation, well, this guy did this. Well, yeah, but you're talking about if there's 10,000 people and 8 do something wrong. I mean, that's just life, right? That's why there's people in jail, and then there's people outside of jail. How many people are in jail compared to outside? There's only so much that you can do. So, yes, there's going to be people who cross the line, and social media is a platform for people to do that and hide behind a keyboard with a picture of an egg. But at the end of the day here, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's calm down if you're a player and just go play some football here and stop worrying about what little Jimmy says. See, you just don't worry about that. Go play football. All right, let's move on here. I didn't expect for the first 5 minutes to just rant about Miles Sanders, but I guess that just kind of happened naturally. Let's get to Nick Sirianni on the COVID protocol list. That is an issue here because whether you say that you're going to do meetings on Zoom or technically or whatever the case may be, it's not the same as actually being there. That's just the truth. So you're going to be missing that part of your head coach. I do believe internally, though, as an organization, they have the culture set where it's okay. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. You have Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey. You have Darius Slay, Fletcher Cox. You have your veterans of the group that will make sure, with or without Nick Sirianni, this team is ready, their head is down, and they're prepared because basically you're on that stretch run to go make the playoff. Every game is a playoff game at this point. And knowing what some of these veterans have been through under Doug Peterson as well, a 4-6 start, a 5-7 start, and then grinding through to make the postseason at 9-7. They've done it before. They've been through that type of pain, that type of battle, that type of, scenario schedule-wise, and they've held it together. Let's do that again. We've already done this. So we'll continue to look at the Nick Sirianni part of this, and I'll tell you what, I've been so damn impressed with Nick Sirianni when you continue to go back and watch what he did against Washington with these motions and, these options and getting these players open and allowing them to work. It's amazing. Putting Jalen Hurts in a position to succeed based off of giving him options off these plays and guys are moving. That Darius Slay, I stressed this a lot during that post-game podcast where what Darius Slay was doing as a decoy and Miles Sanders right up, bang, and you can look at some of the motions throughout other plays and how that sets up passes to the left side. It really is awesome. I just love the creativity and the feel and the flow of the play calling. It's unbelievable. Nick Sirianni has done such a magnificent job. So I guess during his latest press conference there, he was talking about who would be in place and talked about Shane Steichen calling plays if he's not there on Sunday. And then he went into detail about how, it's sort of a collective group, it's a collaborative effort. And I know that gets thrown around all the time, but in terms of play calling each game, and I saw Ruben Frank of NBC Sports put up an article about how he mentioned that throughout, and everyone was kind of confused on what does that mean? What are you talking about? Who's calling the plays during a normal time? And I guess my issue there is, if you're Ruben Frank, if you're anybody who's covering the team and you hear that and then there's something in your brain that triggers that, well, what does that really mean? Can you describe what? Ask that question. Follow up. We need more information. When you are available and you talk about you and Shane being together doing this, what does that actually mean? How does that work on game days? You are calling the plays, correct, Nick? Where is this going? Why wasn't there a follow-up to get those details and that information? Because I'm going to be honest with you, that's massive. That is huge news. That is a major statement made by Nick where, hello, can somebody bounce back here and throw another question his way via Zoom? We need to figure that out. So I would expect the next time he speaks, how is that not question number one? Can you please clarify a little bit more on something you said on your day after press conference there, Coach? Please. Thought that was crazy. And then another thing real quick here before we're gonna take some anytime hotline calls. I'm gonna read you some stats that this team is all about right now. But the Pro Bowls were selected. That's another one, right? So it was Nick Sirianni, Miles Sanders booing, and then the Pro Bowl selections and how some fans are upset that certain players, maybe it's Lane Johnson, and keep in mind, Lane Johnson did miss some time due to taking a step away from the game to work on his mental health, which is significantly more important than making any sort of Pro Bowl. You know, you could talk about Jake Elliott, you could talk about some players, right? But Darius Slay and Jason Kelce made the respected Pro Bowl. Respected. It is what it is for me, but the league's Pro Bowl. I don't have, and I know I'm an outlier here, and I'll use Bryce Harper, Joel Embiid to kind of flirt into this mix as well. I don't have a problem if someone doesn't get selected. If someone plays really, really, really well to be in the conversation, and they make it, or they don't make it, and they play the same way regardless, me, as someone who's watching the games game by game, just like all of you, I see that dominant play. I see that unbelievable play. If there's someone who's just as deserving or in the mix as well and somebody else makes it over them, I witnessed, and that player had the same impact on the team throughout the regular season, which is the most important part for me. You talk about salary and what they can make more if they make the Pro Bowl, this and that, incentives. That doesn't impact my life as watching this game play out. So they have the same impact on the team. Whether they make it or not, I don't care. Now, sometimes it could be super egregious. For example, if Bryce Harper didn't win MVP, that's where you can go, I have no idea how you even came up with this decision. This is mind-blowing and embarrassing. When Joel Embiid doesn't win MVP and Jokic ends up winning MVP, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Jokic can win MVP regardless if Joel Embiid did or didn't. I witnessed the same Joel Embiid with or without that hardware. Now, obviously, I want him to win it. I would like a Philadelphia athlete to have that type of trophy sitting in their trophy room. Of course. But, I'm not crying over it. I don't get too emotionally upset about it unless it's if Bryce Harper didn't win, because who would have? That's a little different, though, in that scenario compared to a Pro Bowl selection. But I think you kind of get my point. And I feel I'm in the outlier there, but I've always felt that way. And I've been feeling a certain way watching Jalen Hurts as well. Jalen Hurts, he had a bad game against the Giants. And then there's this reaction of, oh, he stinks, he's brutal, he's terrible, he's awful. No, you're reacting to one football game. Early in the season, I almost scrapped that out because that's not going to be who Jalen Hurts is, and they forced him to be something he's not early on and put too much pressure on him to read the defense every single play, no breaks about. It was a lot, and it was malpractice from an offensive standpoint. Once they flipped the switch on this, which is one of the most dominant running games we've ever seen. And by the way, this offensive line has to be one of the most dominant things I've ever seen in my life as well. Thank the Lord, Jeff Stoutland did not leave, because that was a conversation on if he was going to go back to college and leave the Eagles and all. Oh, man, we would be... Think about this. You lose Brandon Brooks, you throw in Jack Driscoll. You lose Jack Driscoll, you throw in Nate Herbig. You lose Landon Dickerson, you throw in Suo Peta. And I'm not telling you every guy who steps in does an A-plus job. My point is they clearly are still dominating at such an unreal rate, even with some hiccups along the way. It's mind-blowing. And just to put it in some context here of what we saw last year, you see the difference on when an offensive line can play compared to when an offensive line was in shambles last season, and you're picking off Brown from the streets and he's fixing his gloves while your quarterback is getting sacked. I know Jeff Stoutland's a magician here, but he can only do so much. The power ran out on some of those scrubs last season for sure. But in Jalen Hurts' last 4 games, this is why I can't overreact to the New York Giants game. And when Gardner Minshew played and the ankle injury was bothering Jalen, the fact that it happened after his worst performance in a long period of time, skewed everybody's mindsets of Gardner Minshew gives them a bet. No, stop. That's absolutely foolish to think that way. It's a knee-jerk reaction. So in his last 4 games, so don't count the Jets game, that was Minshew. The last 4 games, they won 30-13 in Denver. They won 40 30-29 over New Orleans. And keep in mind, I know they don't have a quarterback, but that was impressive due to the fact that the Saints could stop any run game they wanted to. At least that's what we were told before the game played out. Oh, wait, look how smooth Jalen Hurts is in that department. And oh, by the way, offensive line, running backs, everybody played a massive role in that. But Jalen Hurts' ability to have that special type of movement is definitely beneficial to the way they can run through the number one run defense in the league at the time. He had a stinker against the Giants, and then he responded with a 27-17 win over Washington. 3 of his last 4 games, he's played very strong, and he had a hiccup game. Tom Brady, every quarterback has a bad game in a season. More than one, may I add. Tom Brady just scored 0 points. If you just want to react to one game, it happens. And I'm not telling you Jalen Hurts is Tom Brady. I'm saying if the best quarterback to ever live is going to give you a game where he scores 0 points, what do you think that means? That a quarterback who's a rookie for his first year starting a full season, a rookie starter, that type of spot that Jalen Hurts is in, what do you think is going to happen? He's going to have them, and he had one. He was throwing interceptions. But if you look at the progression and the way that he's standing in the pocket, and it's clear as day that there's an emphasis on him staying, making certain throws, scooting to the left a little bit, and then setting his feet and throwing, rolling to the right, like looking downfield. And there were issues. See, it's funny. I mentioned how he missed all these players early on, and he did. Oh, no doubt. He missed Gainwell a few times. He missed Jalen Reagor once. That could have been a big ball. He missed some guys. No doubt about it. The response in the comments were, he went 20 of 26 with a handful of drops from Dallas Goedert. What do you mean he missed guys? What are you talking about? Well, he missed players wide open, and he still made other plays. He still had the football caught, but if you miss a 60-yard gain and instead you get an 8-yard gain, that's still something to consider in terms of him reading the field. But after that hiccup of the first quarter and change, and then they actually went on a nice drive, and then they kind of figured out themselves and established themselves. It was all she wrote, and he was smooth as hell, and he was smooth as day, and he was making really good passes to Dallas Goedert. Throwing guys open. That pass to Greg Ward was ridiculous. And a hell of a catch by Greg Ward as well. So all around here, I'm looking at a quarterback that over his last 4 games, he had 1 bad one and 3 really good ones. There's something to be said about Jalen Hurts, and I've been saying that for a little bit of time now. I don't understand the full-on hate. Well, he's not a pocket passer. He doesn't need to be an elite pocket passer. If he's a good pocket passer, a good one, and then he's elite in other ways, running the ball, helping Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard run the ball because of him being a threat when he's running the option plays. You can't just pretend that doesn't matter. And we keep saying, can this work long term? That was a question I asked when they first started doing it. It seems that way. No one can stop them. Now, when you get into the playoffs, if you get into the playoffs, and you see an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, a 1-2 seed in this league, and they're scoring at will because they can throw the ball downfield and Jonathan Gannon blows, so that's going to get annihilated. It would be a lot different if you had a defense that you could actually count on, but I don't believe in his philosophy. Say what you want about some of these teams, but you see better quarterback. He's going to be so scared. He's going to have things tucked in between his legs that we're going to see some embarrassing play calling. And he was afraid of Gilbert. That's what it looked like to me. So will that be able to keep up when players score, if teams can score at will, obviously they're not in the NFC for playoff purposes, but you get my point. If teams can score in 3-4 plays down the field, can the Eagles keep up that pace? I don't know. I've seen crazier things. Because if you milk the clock the way that you do, because no one can stop your run game, and you're taking 7, 8, 9 minutes off the clock, and Aaron Rodgers sitting on the sideline, who knows? Who knows what can happen if you execute your game plan offensively as crisp as you have at times. I don't know the answer to that. I questioned it more in the beginning. Now that I'm starting to see it game in and game out, I mean, there's legitimacy to it. Since week 8, they're second in points per game, second in yards per game, first in rushing yards per game, first in third down efficiency, first in scoring efficiency, first in explosive plays, which keep in mind, this coaching staff, they stressed that early on and said, this is something we're going to keep in our notes here. Like, this is what we want to establish. We want to be a team that is magnificent in this area, and it seems that they've kind of done that. Now, they scored on 53% of their drives. That's the same as the 2007 Patriots. That's from week 8 on. And then in 2017, they had a 44.7 third down conversion. Right now, all year, they're at 46.1. So they're actually converting more on third down conversions. They're 46.1% this year. That is insane. So they're completing more in that area. That is bonkers. Just bonkers. What else is bonkers, though, is D. Simone Jewelers. They are my jewelers. I got my fiance's engagement ring from them, and I keep going back. Christmas, her birthday, Valentine's Day, a random day throughout the week, you name it. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they will treat you like you are part of the D. Simone family. They work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the entire market. Custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, battery replacement, and so much more. If you go in and say, Broad sent me, they will absolutely 1,000% hook you up. They care so much about you. You're not just a customer. You're not just someone who walks in. You are a part of the D. Simone family. You really are. They are so passionate about teaching you and educating you on the diamonds and the difference in clarity. And they give you tools so you can study the difference. And they just share so much information with you. You feel more connected with the piece that you're buying for your significant other. It's such a great experience. DSimoneJewelers.com is their website. The link is in the bio. Make sure you check them out. All right, we're going to rock through some anytime hotline calls. Hear the reaction from the game. Here we go.
Wouldn't be an Eagles game without a couple fucking heart attacks. I guess that's Tuesday night football for you. I guess Jalen Hurts managed to unfuck up his fuck-ups. But overall, entertaining game. At least the team managed to get its crap together after the COVID delay. So maybe we can look forward to them beating the crap out of the Giants next week. Hopefully it doesn't look as ugly.
I mean, yes, it was ugly, and no, it was. It was annoying, and that drive after they made it 20-10, where the Washington football team goes down and scores. You know, Jonathan Gannon's soft as hell, so it is what it is. It doesn't really surprise me, and I still don't have a problem with Nick Sirianni going for it, not going for it, and keeping the points on the board. There was a clip of John Harbaugh going around, because he's getting a lot of criticism for going for two in certain scenarios and going for the win and whatnot, and he's on the sideline talking to his players. And I believe it was Mark Andrews who came up to him. Don't quote me on that. It could have been someone else. I'm pretty sure it was Andrews, though. And he was like, don't worry about it, coach. It was the right decision. Like, the fact that these players, you could say all you want about it as an individual who watches the game, this and that. But all that matters is how the locker room feels about it. And, you know, if there's guys out there, like, it's all situational, right? If the locker room respects the decision and realizes you're playing Gilbert, and this team isn't going to score over 20 points to beat you, so let's just take the points and get this win. So it's not just about, well, you're playing soft, you're being a bitch. No, it's really not that way all the time. There are situations where that's the case, yes, but you got to be knowledgeable of where you're at and understand. We always talk about time and awareness, right? Miles Sanders going out of bounds or staying in bounds, recognize the clock. Well, there's something to be said about coaching a game. It's not just, well, this scenario tells you this. Well, there's context involved in where you're at right now, and you're playing a quarterback that blows. So relax. Understand time and space, time and awareness. You're playing this team with this quarterback, with this right now. Get your points. We have 20. Is this team going to score over 20? The answer is no. And the results dictated, or the results define that move was okay. And I don't have a problem. It doesn't mean you make that move every time, but on that given night, based off those circumstances, it was okay. And as long as the locker room understands that and is cool with it, that's all that really matters. And I don't see a problem. This team, you know what, coach? We won this football game, but I am disgusted with you. No, they love Nick Sirianni. They support Nick Sirianni, and I'm sure they understand the logic behind it as well. If somebody comes out and says otherwise, then fine. Then I'll open up that dialogue to have some conversation. It was a little bit annoying, but at the end of the day, this Eagles team did their job, and they turned the page rather quickly after that first quarter. And as soon as Washington went up 10-0 instead of 14-0 because they had to settle for the field goal, I think that really did dictate the rest of the flow. They got to use dictate the right way there. The rest of the flow of the game. If you go at 14, maybe that opens up a little bit more nerves, if you will.
Well, after that first quarter debacle, it was great to see the Eagles show up again. I mean, God forbid, again, they ran the ball, and it was a pleasure to watch them do that, but I really got to tip my cap to Hurts this game. I mean, that pass to Ward, that was a textbook like Hall of Fame pass right there. That was really impressive. So hopefully they can try to get to some kind of identity of being kind of like the Ravens, where, balance running quarterback, make throws when you need to, but it was good, pick on a team that's recovering from a lot of injuries, get some confidence, and we'll move on to the next one.
See, I think they already established that, no? In the beginning of the year, remember Nick Sirianni was asked a question about what your identity is and all that? And he said, I don't know. A lot of teams don't know right now. We criticized that, and I still thought that was the wrong answer at the time. But now if you ask anybody who watches the Eagles consistently what's their identity, you already know. So it's not hopefully they turn into a Raven team. They are. This is what they are. They are destroying, historically annihilating teams on the ground. It's not, hey, they have a nice running game. No, this thing is blowing records. This is mind-blowing in terms of disparity with what they're doing on the ground, how many yards they're gaining. You look at what it's wild. It's wild, the level of dominance that they are doing right now with their offensive line starting it all. Their running backs, I thought Miles Sanders did a great job of hitting the holes, hitting the gaps that he needed to hit, and then exploding after that. I just thought Miles Sanders as a whole had such a really good game in there. Just beautiful on the ground. So I don't know if it's hopefully they grow into that. This is what they've kind of grown into naturally as Nick Sirianni has plugged and played different type of concepts from the start of the season. And I'm really impressed with just his confidence on the sideline on feeling out a game. His feel and touch on the game has grown incredibly. Incredibly. It's funny, I saw, who was it, of the... It was, it's a Giants beat reporter, not the one that called everybody out. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. But he tweeted about how good the Eagles are set up with money coming off of the books next year with Carson Wentz, with Howie Roseman being able to manipulate some of the cap, with the 3 first-round draft picks, with Jalen Hurts, if you move forward with him and he continues to grow and play as strong as he has throughout some of these games, this team is set up to turn this thing around rather quickly. And I just started laughing because how many Howie Roseman haters despised hearing that. Dallas Goedert as a number 1 tight end? Are you kidding me? Now, he's got to work. It's not a physical issue with him dropping those passes. It's more of a mental side of things, preparing to make the play. It seems like he's just a little bit off with fully digesting the mental side of that play when he's dropping these passes. So once he kind of clocks in there, you got your number 1 tight end. If you have your quarterback, your big money's coming off the books next year. There's a lot. But, regardless, you could be like, oh, they're a 500 team. What are you talking about? Well, the first 5-6 games of the year, you didn't know what the hell you were doing. If you replay those 6 games now, 5 games now, however many games you want to look at to start the year with this new lifestyle, I think you're a totally different football team. So if your offensive line plays this way, and now that you kind of established yourself, it's a very unique squad we got here with a very tough brand of football that I can get behind. If they can consistently do this, which they've shown they can, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to think about the turnaround. That's why you give up all your draft picks to go get a quarterback, this and that. So let's use Russell Wilson as an example. Why are we so optimistic about the turnaround? Draft picks, cap space. You want to go get rid of all your draft picks and cap space, and then how do you kind of complete this turnaround that we all know still has issues? Secondary, defensive line, linebacker. Well, it's a little bit foolish in my eyes. And then you think about where Jalen Hurts is money-wise, too. He's not paid the big bucks. And there's a reason why teams struggle once quarterbacks get paid the big bucks. All right, what's next?
What's up, bros? I know it's just Garrett Gilbert, man. I know this is a beat-up Washington team, but this is a good win by the Eagles. I like how they played on both sides of the football. I think offensively, they ran the ball so great. The offensive line deserves all the credit for this. Obviously, the running back deserves them too. I'm exaggerating a little bit. But the offensive line is absolutely phenomenal. I have not seen an offensive line this good in a very long time. They are insane. Dallas Goedert, over 100 yards. I feel like Devontae Smith could have had a few more big plays, and Jalen Hurts just missed him early in the first. But after the second, Jalen Hurts was on fire. Even though it was against a beat-up Washington defense, Jalen was great in the second half and on. He was fantastic. He looked like a franchise quarterback. That throw to Greg Ward was fantastic. To throw that perfectly outside and give him a chance, that was awesome.
It really was. It was a beautiful throw. You know what? It's funny. You talk about how, I know it's only Washington, and there are people out there that say, I'm not giving him any credit. It's only Washington. But yet when he loses to the Giants, it's, this guy sucks. He can't even beat the Giants. So you got to give the tip of the cap somewhere along the lines, because as you see around this league, teams do lose to opponents that they shouldn't lose. Jacksonville has a couple wins. The New York Jets have a couple wins. Teams win games that they shouldn't. So when you do beat the team you're supposed to, well, I'm not saying throw a parade and say that this guy's a Super Bowl champion, but you're going to destroy him when he loses when he shouldn't. At least recognize that, hey, there was some adversity. He hasn't played in X amount of games, in X amount of weeks, I should say, X amount of days, and then he has an ugly start, and then he gets reamed out by the coach, and then himself as an athlete kind of internally bottles that up and then explodes after that. So that tells you the mental toughness of the kid that we love to see out of professional athletes. And then let's talk about from a quarterback position as a whole too, how much that matters. So yeah, I think the hatred towards Jalen Hurts is so damn aggressive. There are some out there that take it too far and claim that he's automatically the guy forever. No, I'm willing to say he's done enough to give him a whole nother year, no doubt. And if we see growth after next year, then let's keep rocking this growth. If you see that there's that it doesn't work and there's some problems next year and this and that, then yeah, all right. Then you make a decision moving forward. I'm not tied to him forever, but I'm definitely tied to him for the rest of this year and for next year as well. He's showed some really sharp growth in certain areas that we needed him to. He's going to have bad games. There's no denying that. He's going to have some tough ones, but if it's mixed in around, if it's mixed surrounded by some really strong games, you're going to play Washington. You're going to play the Giants. You're going to play these teams. Well, they stink. That's your division. That's your division. So say what you want about it. You can't control that. They're division games that you got to win. And he went out there and he balled the hell out. That was very impressive, the way that he shook everything off and kind of just bang, established himself to a whole new level, especially after the adversity. Oh, Gardner Minshew's the guy. Get the hell out of here. Get out of here. Gardner Minshew's the guy. The hell out of here. Beautiful effort. All right, with that being said, we're going to shut things down here. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me today on this episode of Coffee with Broads. Nope, Sports Talk with Broads, and I will see you next time.